Lesson 24 is about adding and subtracting fractions that have common denominators. Now, what it means when they have common denominators is that the denominator of the fraction is always the same throughout all of our different terms. So, in our first term, we've got a 4 as the denominator. Second term, we have a 4 as the denominator. Third term, there's a 4 as a denominator. So these all have common denominators. Remember, the top number on a fraction is called the numerator. Now I've gone ahead and sketched out a circle that's cut into 4 about equal pieces. We're going to assume they're exactly equal for the purposes of our lesson. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, I'm going to add 1/4 of the circle plus 1/4 of the circle plus 1/4 of the circle. So here, I have 1/4 of the circle here. Okay, that's shaded in now. I'm going to add another 1/4 of the circle. There's 2/4 of the circle shaded in. And I'm going to add one more 1/4 of the circle shaded in. You can see when we do that, we get our final answer. How many pieces of our circle are shaded in out of 4? Well, it must be 3. Our answer must be equal to 3/4. And we're all done with this first problem. Now when we add or subtract fractions that have common denominators, the denominator always stays the same because we keep having 4 parts. What we do is we add the numerators together to get what our final answer is, because 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. We can get it using our picture and drawing in and coloring in, or we can get it just by looking at our numbers to solve. Let's go ahead and look at another example. Let's say we have 1/2 plus 1/2. This time we'll go ahead and we'll look at a rectangle. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that rectangle about into equal parts, roughly. And we're going to add 1/2 of the rectangle plus 1/2 of the rectangle. So I'm going to take my first half, here it is in orange. Okay, then I'm going to add another half of the rectangle, here's my second half. And when I add that in, you can see we now have both halves covered. We have 2 halves covered, and 2 divided by 2, or 2/2, is just equal to 1 whole. So we can simplify. Notice again, 1 plus 1 is 2. Our denominator stays the same whenever we add or subtract fractions. We simplify or reduce when we can. 2/2, as we see, is the same thing as 1. Let's go ahead and move on to our next example. Alright, this one, 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. This time, we're not going to go ahead and draw out a picture. What we're going to do is say, remember, our denominator always stays the same, 4, when we add or subtract fractions. Then we're going to add up our numerators. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And 9 plus 3 is 12. We could have said that by saying 3, well, we have 3 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. So we get 12/4. Well, remember, numerator over denominator. We can always divide our fractions. We could say 12 divided by 4. The numerator is our dividend in the box. The denominator is our divisor outside the box. 12 divided by 4, that must be 3. So we've got an answer, when we reduce it, of 3. And we've got our final answer for this problem. If you wanted to draw pictures, you could, or we could go ahead and do it this way. It's usually quicker just to use the numbers to solve. Alright, let's subtract one. We've got 7/8 minus 2/8. The denominator always stays the same when we add or subtract fractions, so it's going to be 8. Then, since we're subtracting this time, we're going to take 2 away from 7. 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 must be 5. So we have an answer of 5/8. And we're all done with this problem. Now let's say we had a problem that looked like this. 1/2 minus 1/2. Well, if we start with half of something and we take away half of something, we must not have anything left. Remember, denominator stays the same. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we get 0/2. So that must be equal to 0. And we have our final answer. Take away a half from a half, you have nothing. So our final answer of 0 makes perfect sense. We're going to practice this some more with our lesson practice, page 125. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you in our next class.